You know, it's been a while since I last touched a Master System game for a review, and the Sega Master System does need a little more love around here, so why not go for a game that's already built into the system, or at least the one I've got. Hang on a minute. Hang On is loosely based on the Sega arcade hit of the same name, a Sega arcade hit that I've never played in its original arcade or equivalent form, so how well this Master System iteration translates the arcade action to the home platform, I honestly cannot say and will not endeavor to speculate. However, without any foreknowledge of its arcade origins, Hang On is a solid racer with one simple premise: making it to the end of the track without crashing into anything and before time runs out. It's all about making it to the end of the course rather than trying to place first in a race, much like Outrun. And every checkpoint you come across often leads you to new terrain, much like Outrun. Except there are no forks in the roads, it's just one long continuous path, much like Cruisin' USA. Wait, what? And if you make it all the way to the end, congratulations, you move on to the next course. Hang On actually controls pretty smoothly. I sort of had my doubts at first, but it plays rather nicely. One button handles brakes, two button handles throttle, you use the control pad to steer and shift between gears, and it works really well. It's tight and responsive, so you mess up on a turn, it's all on you. And it can get pretty difficult to get your groove back after a couple crashes, but then that can be said about any old school racer. Certainly happens to be the case with Hang On, without question. Computer-controlled riders are also pretty aggressive, especially on the higher difficulties, but once you get the hang of it, Hang On does feel somewhat easier to manage, but still retains that level of challenge. Visuals in Hang On are pretty decent for the most part. The riders are nicely detailed, the scaling's done fairly well, there's a nice sense of speed to the game, and while the game does feel somewhat barren in terms of backdrops or other objects along the way, it's still a rather nice treat to the eyes that's clean, colorful, and pleasant to look at. Perhaps the best compliment I could give Hang On is that focus is entirely on your motorcycle, so when you steer, the screen moves with you in center focus. It's not like an Outrun where you're driving along the tracks just fine and all of a sudden the screen freezes as you're moving through arcs and your Testarossa is veering off center until the arcs have cleared and the camera just moves back, in the proper position. It's an incredibly jarring shift that I always found annoying about the Master System version of Outrun, but Hang On doesn't have that problem, and that pleases me tremendously. Outside of a couple jingles here and there, which sounds quite nice actually, there's virtually no music to be found in Hang On. What sound effects are in the game are pretty tolerable and of decent quality. That's honestly good enough for me. All in all, Hang On is a nice little racer on the Master System that is well regarded for good reason. It's a game that's done rather well and it's an enjoyable experience to boot. Chances are you already played it if you own a Master System and the game's built in, usually with some other side game like Safari Hunt or Astro Warrior. But if not, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you enjoy old school racing games. Good stuff overall.